What's up everybody, Craig from Guitar Oracle here. Today we're going to be talking about memorizing notes on the fretboard. So one thing we want to start with when it comes to memorizing notes, we can start with the natural notes and not worry so much about the sharps and flats. We can fill in the blanks of sharps and flats as we progress with our memorization of the natural notes and see how things come together from there. So aside from that tip up front, just working with natural notes alone, we can also look at the fretboard as the 12th fret being the place where everything repeats. Anything below the 12th fret also happens above the 12th fret. Typically, if you have like a 24 fret guitar, then for sure. But the first fret is the same note value as the 13th fret. They're all going to be 12 frets apart on the same string. So that's one method. You always want to make sure that you are finding notes up here, but then also working up above the 12th fret to find them there as well. And again, that pattern just being 12 frets. So the 3rd fret is going to be the 15th fret. The 5th fret is going to be the 17th, and so on. If we stick with C, we'll even see, obviously, that the 8th fret is going to be the same as the 20th fret. So that is one way to memorize and make sure that you're catching all the information the fretboard can provide. Another pattern that can help us move across the fretboard is our octaves. We have octaves that when you skip a string and keep your fingers a whole step apart, so skip a fret. In this case, we've got the D, or the E and the D string, E and D, and we've got the 8th fret and the 10th fret. Those are both C notes. And again, that applies when we're on the A string with the G string as well. When we get to the D string, that changes up a bit. So we've actually got a whole step and then another half step. We notice this 13th fret of the B string is going to be a C note. We also have this 10th fret of the D string as a C note. So that's going to be that octave we're looking for, but it's not a whole step. It's a whole step and then another half step. And that pattern also exists for the G and the E string. We're once again going to have that whole step and then another half step to find that octave there. Another pattern that we may not use a whole lot when playing or writing a song, but for practicing and memorizing the fretboard itself, we have this relationship between, let's start with the E string, for example. If I play the C note on the E string, there's also the C note on the A string. So that is 1 step, 2 steps, 2.5 steps. And it's going to be the same notes. I can move it down the fretboard this way, and it's the same thing. When I get to this G string, it shortens up for that relation between the G and the B string, and it's only 2 steps. It's kind of a test on how tuned you are too, so be careful with that. But also you've got it returning to the 2.5 steps for the B and the high E string. So once again, if you are saying, well, here's this one note, where else does it exist on the next string? You can find that location. It just repeats, and it's always going to have that relationship depending on what string you're starting on, and then the next string up from there. So there's some good tips on how to memorize the fretboard by starting with just the natural notes and working with patterns on where you can find one note and then find the next example of it. And have fun, find your own patterns if you can. Just enjoy playing and I'll see you in the next video.